Okay, so we're going to talk politics this morning, and I am very happy that things are beginning to take their place in the country. You guys understand what I mean by things are beginning to take their place. Some things have happened within this past week that is really, really outrageous. I say outrageous because for the first time in a country called Cameroon, we have seen how the government has shown its true color. The government of Mr. Biya, I'm talking about. Now, when I say the government of Mr. Biya has shown its true color, I want to start first with the manipulation. Remember that this is a government that manipulates Cameroonians on a daily basis. Don't forget that in 2022, Ferdinand Gongo was being investigated for embezzlement of state funds. He survived that. He survived. The only reason he survived that was because we know the strong bond that exists between Ferdinand Gongo and our First Lady, Chantal Biya. Coupled with the fact that he is Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic and very close to the Minister of Justice, Laurent Esso. So you can understand why he survived that particular investigation. It doesn't mean that he was not guilty. No. Ngongo embezzled state funds. That is a fact. But how he survived that particular net of the sparrow hawk, popularly known as Epevier, is what I have tried to explain to you. First is because of his ties with the First Lady of the country, Madame Chantal Biya, and also the fact that he is Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic and a friend, a very good friend of the Minister of Justice, Laurent Esso. Now, Ngongo did something that is very typical of the man. He is the head of a very powerful cabal in Yaoundé. Secondly, Ferdinand Ngongo is a crook. And when I say he's a crook, I'm going to prove it to you. You remember Ferdinand Ngongo went to Douala, the littoral region, and he was there for a visit. He was sent by the CPDM party. And while he was there, he came back and he lied to ministers and members of their party that commercial motorbike riders in Littoral, Douala to be precise, have declared Mr. Biya as their number one commercial motorbike rider. It's an insult. It's an insult to commercial motorbike riders because you see, commercial motorbike riding, it is the only employment that the government of Cameroon can boast of, that they have created for the young people of their country who graduate from universities. Can you imagine how outrageous and ridiculous that is? But I put it to you that they did not even create commercial bike riding, because I know how government fought very hard to eradicate commercial motorbike riding in Cameroon, saying that people use it to commit crimes. But that is a sector that, if closed in Cameroon, is going to create so much problems for the country. Do you know how many young Cameroonians are employed by that particular sector? Okay, good. I leave you to answer that particular question. Now, let's continue. So when he came back to Yaoundé and he lied, we saw how commercial motorbike riders in Douala became furious and went on air on practically every TV station in the country to debunk the story he came up with. As usual, they had manipulated one of the presidents of the syndicates to go on TV and made that declaration. The guy became a persona non grata. his fellow commercial motorbike riders didn't want to see him. That is how manipulation is carried out in Cameroon. I'm going to give you another instance. You remember, it was the same Ferdinand Gongo who came out to say the young people of the center-south region and the rest of the country are clamoring for President Paul Biya to run as candidate. And I insist, Mr. Biya categorically refused to run for president. Don't bother about the image that was posted saying, I am your candidate, je suis votre candidat. Mr. Biya is like Mugabe in his last days on earth. Mr. Mugabe was being manipulated by Grace Mugabe and those who were very close to Mugabe when he was Mugabe. It's the same thing now. Chantal Biya and Gongo and the rest of the cabal, they are manipulating this old man who at the age of 93 basically does not understand his immediate environment, is experiencing what every other human being at that age is going to experience. And I tell you that it is no dissing of Mr. Biya. It's a blessing to attain 70, 80, 90. But when you hit that age, what you do is you kind of retreat. You go back to your resting abode and then you enjoy life with your grannies, as your grandchildren or great-grandchildren in the case of Paul Biya. But he has categorically said no. He wants to stay in Ituri and being used like a puppet by the same system he created. Mr. Biya has become a prisoner of his own system. Yes, Mr. Biya is a prisoner of his own system. You see the way they are manipulating him, you will understand. Mr. Biya comes to read speeches that have been written by people. It is their ideas and they write it. He reads and they send it as message from the head of state to the people. Now, Cameroonians are going to vote for the very first time their legit president. And it's going to happen in October. Let us put to rest the issue of Professor Maurice Kamto because he's a candidate. People thought he was never going to be a candidate. Now, nobody's going to talk about that because it is setting out that he is a candidate. Oh, they said he needs 300 signatures. Oh, he needs another party. Finally, now he's a candidate. What next have you got to say? Absolutely nothing. But I'll continue with the manipulation of the manipulation that is being utilized by Ferdinand Gongo. You see what happened the other day? He was receiving money from so-called youths of Cameroon, a country where there are still people who have graduated. They cannot find a job. There are people who don't earn 30,000 francs a month. People have a salary of 20, 15,000, 25,000 francs as a monthly salary. And then they have money to contribute up to 40 million to hand to the person who has perpetrated their suffering, the pain inflicted on them by this same person. They want to pay 40 million for him to run as president. How outrageous, how stupid, how dumb does that sound? Do you think that that is something that is really coming from the young people of Cameroon? So you begin to understand how the regime in Yaoundé is a pro when it comes to manipulation. So what you saw there was just fake. Now, let us take Ilekam. Ilekam understands what is at stake. When the storm is about to pass, you have serious lightning, thunder, then the storm shall come. And when the storm comes, you will feel the impact. There is a storm coming in October, and that storm will be felt by Ilekam if Ilekam doesn't do the right thing. And what is the right thing Ilekam is to do in Cameroon this 2025? 2025 is unlike other election years in Cameroon. 2025 is unique. Unique in the sense that Cameroonians are very enlightened this time around. They know what it means to vote and protect your votes. Secondly, 2025 is a turning point. That's why I say it's a unique year, because it's the year that Cameroonians are going to elect their very first president, legitimate president. Amadu Ahijo, like Paul Biya, I can only compare them to people who of a sudden found themselves managing a country that they did not work for. Now, this is what is going to happen. When in Cameroon, 1992 presidential election, when Frundi allegedly won and that victory was stolen by the present government, that same 1992 is the first time that we had up to at least 4 million registered voters. But let us take 2025 to show you how unique 2025 is. We are above 7 million registered voters in Cameroon. Cameroonians were never interested in politics because the very important line that most Cameroonians used to use was that we vote or we don't vote, he is going to win. What is the essence? Oh no, now the essence is known to Cameroonians that it is going to happen if they vote and the right results are not proclaimed. Then the government in Yaoundé will begin to test the wrath of Cameroonians. That is a fact. Because there is nothing, not even the atomic bomb. When the legendary reggae singer Bob Marley sang, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, for none of them can stop the time." It is the time in Cameroon. Not even the beer, the police, the gendarmes, or the military can stop the time. The wind of change is already blowing. The storm is approaching. None can stop the time in Cameroon. It's the time in Cameroon when change is going to come. And for doubters who said, oh, you see, Professor Maurice Kamto is a very intelligent man. So you thought he was going around doing this, meet the people, trying to educate them on the importance of the election and 2025. You thought he was doing all of this as a joke? Oh no, there was a strategy. There was a strategy. Cameroonians are ready for a third president. Cameroonians are done with bullies like Atanganji, with incompetent people who come on national television to use vocabulary thinking that that is going to frustrate Cameroonians or make them some kind of be perplexed. No, they're not going to get confused. Farman Dongo, you have been Minister of Higher Education for how many years? Look at our universities. Let us be honest. Look at our economy. Now, there is the other one who resigned recently. Somebody who has been singing the name of Mr. Biya over the years. I'm talking about Issa Chiroma Bakari. He was there. Minister in charge of what? Employment and what? Professional training or whatnot. In a normal country, they will look at the number of jobs created. You think they can talk about the number of jobs created in Cameroon? How many jobs did they create in Cameroon? What can he say he did as a minister? Now he resigns, and the moment he resigns from government, because he has seen the signs, he knows that it's clearly written on the wall that it's the end of the inept government, he decides that he wants to run for president, and he goes and behaves like one of these politicians of convenience and not conviction by doing what? Sharing money to his people as if they are beggars. That is what they are. They make you beggars so that you can rely on them. Instead of creating jobs, instead of teaching you how to fish, they want to be giving you fish at their convenience so that you remain a beggar. Cameroonians are done with that. Look at our prime minister, for instance. Our prime minister today is not the man we know. John Gute has no more charisma. You see him talking and you see his face and his countenance speaks volumes because he knows that the government doesn't care for the people of his region, where he comes from, the Southwest region, Ndian division. These places are orphans of what? Development, employment. Look at the road infrastructure. Look at the number of young people who don't have jobs in the Southwest, especially in Dian, where he comes from. Forget about Atanganji. Atanganji is a bully. Atanganji is an opportunist. Atanganji is somebody who never, in his wildest imagination, expected to be minister. So today, the thing has swollen his head and is in his head. So he's behaving like somebody who has lost it completely. Yeah. And so you begin to understand that time is of essence in Cameroon. And time has a way of solving so many problems. October is fast approaching. Forget the manipulation. I tell you, Mr. Biya is like a man whose hands are tied. He has no other way out of it. Because his own wife and her members of her cabal, they are doing everything possible to keep him there so that they can continue to suck dry Cameroon and render the people of Cameroon helpless, make them look like beggars. But like I said, time has a way of solving problems, and the time has come. October is fast approaching. Somehow, this regime will witness its end. The people will stand up for their leader. The people will choose who they want to rule their country. This time, it is people's power. It is not Famundongo, Ngongo, a Sussex, or what they call him, Eno Abrams Egbe, Atanganji, name them. Those who have been working day in, day out to make sure that they cow down Cameroonians. It is over. So for those who have been doubting, now you know it. Professor Maurice Kamto, the bridge over troubled waters in Cameroon, is a candidate and the man who will bring the much needed change. And so if you have registered, note the name, note the date. On the 12th of October, shoulder high, you will carry Professor Maurice Kamto to the presidency. Shoulder high, you will elect and take your first legitimate president to A2D. And then much needed change will start coming to Cameroon. First thing he is going to institute, and I must tell you this, is the 2-term system where you cannot govern for more than 2 terms. If 1 term is 5 years, you have just 2 terms. And for you to go in for the 2nd term, you have to win. And to win, the people will judge you by what you did during your 1st term. So we don't get to see the same face and the same incompetent leader for more than 3 decades. So that is the very first thing that is coming. Go into his manifesto for the upcoming election. Peruse it, digest it, and you will understand why some of us are rooting for Maurice Kamto. You will understand why we have decided to put tribalism at the backyard and take the people's interest, the general interest, and put it over personal interest. Forget about the SDF and their game they have played over the years. Yeah. Forget about it. Is never the language. It is never the tribe. It is never the political party. Cameroon is bigger than all of those. Cameroon is bigger than any individual, any tribe, any language, any political party. Cameroon belongs to every Cameroonian, and every Cameroonian is a stakeholder. And come October, we will act as stakeholders and elect our first legitimate president. Keep watching.